Dear fellow VNUE shareholders, friends, family, and fans, I hope you're staying safe in these trying times. And indeed, 2020 has been a year like no other, at least in my memory. Despite the challenges, VNUE is still here and we are making progress, albeit a little bit slower than we would have liked to. I know that many of you have reached out, hungry for news, but I'll remind you that VNUE is a technology company at heart, and cycles of development can be lengthy. Please be reminded that I cannot answer individual emails in regard to information that is already not publicly knowledge. I will also remind you that as a CEO, I don't put out news unless it's real. In other words, I don't put out fluff. The good news, if any, silver lining, if you will, is that the downturn of the music industry has provided opportunities to advance Soundster. This is due to a few reasons, but mainly A, because venues and businesses will and are looking for cost savings that they can take advantage of, and B, because we have more time to focus on Soundster development with zero touring going on. As the country gradually emerges from this catastrophe, Soundster will be needed more than ever. Soundster development and beta testing have been going exceptionally well. As you've no doubt seen in the press, we will be installing Soundster on a commercial basis at Rockhouse Live Clearwater in February, and all other Rockhouse International locations going forward. We're also working on onboarding quite a few other early adopter physical locations, and in fact are in the process of bringing on more radio stations. In addition to those who have already been testing, we'll be adding several more here in the coming weeks. We have also had some important breakthroughs, including with data partners, as well as identifying untapped potential in regard to radio and other services when music is not played. For example, advertising, production, music, and talk. As I mentioned, touring ground to a halt, but the good news is we already had close to $100,000 in pre-sales through our partnership with Ticketmaster for the Matchbox 20 tour that was supposed to kick off this past July, but now which will commence in July 2021. Unfortunately, however, due to accounting rules, the revenue can't be booked until next year when the tour is executed. But I'm sharing this with you because it's pretty exciting that we generated that much before the bottom dropped out to COVID and before the tour even basically hit the ground. And it's a testament to the continued strength of the instant live CD and download model. We do expect this model to rebound with a vengeance next year because of all the artists who will be looking to make up for revenue they lost this year. We have not yet received our funding, but as I've said, we are working on a $3 to $5 million round so that we may accelerate development and fully commercialize Soundster. I wish I could tell you more in this regard, but I will tell you that we've had some very encouraging conversations, which will resume immediately after the holiday. So I'll say things are looking pretty good. We continue to have friendly angel investors assisting us until we close that round. And have no fear, we have taken no more convertible debt and have no plans to do so. I will also add that if any of you who are true believers in the company and who are buying up shares on the market and holding those shares, there could be some real opportunity for you by participating in a private round, either the main round or interim funding. So I would encourage you to send a message to contact@venue.com if you're interested in learning more. And yes, to a few questions that I've received, we have budgeted, in fact, for a share buyback once our $3 to $5 million round comes in. We continue to feel our company is dramatically undervalued. So how far have we really come? 4 years ago, 5 in May, when I came into the company, there was little or no workable technology, zero revenue, and the company was far behind in its SEC filings. In fact, we had to redo a full 2 year of audits. Since that time, VNUE as a company has accomplished nothing short of miracles on what anyone would call razor-thin funding. And I do mean super razor-thin funding. In fact, I would challenge any company to have accomplished what we have done with as few resources as we've had. We've done this mostly because of sheer tenacity and dedication to accomplishing what we set out to do. Almost anyone who knows me will tell you that I'm like a dog on a bone and one of the most driven individuals you will ever meet. And this is true in anything that I do. VNUE is not the exception by any means. When I joined the company, I knew it was not going to be easy. But what fun would it be, basically, without a challenge, right? And I embrace challenges, and I embrace difficult scenarios. And VNUE was definitely difficult when I came into it, and I can tell you we're in a much, much better place now than 4 years ago. So for those who are wondering about our accomplishments, or those who are new to the company, I thought I'd go through some of the things we've managed to get done from the time I joined until now. First, when I came in May of 2016, I immediately cut costs, eliminated deadweight employees, and then identified lacking technologies the company had been developing, took the company in a new direction, focusing on revenue generation, sustainable, scalable, and interwoven architecture. I brought with me my longtime friend and business colleague from my longtime company, Disc Live Network, Tony Cardenas, better known as Tony Montana. You might have known him from the band Great White back in the day, who's also a fantastic technologist, as well as my main investor who's worked with me on multiple projects over the last 20 years. I identified and eliminated toxic debt and immediately negotiated and ended a few litigation cases against the company that I had inherited. I brought in another colleague, former colleague, Jeff Zakim, who I had worked with at Capitol Records and EMI. Jeff was head of digital at Blue Note and EMI, and has worked with quite a few notable artists, really good at what he does. I structured an exclusive license agreement with Disc Live, leveraging it and its assets to start generating revenues for VNUE in mid to late 2017 through instant recordings with Scott Stapp, lead singer of Creed, former lead singer of Creed, I should say. And I'll point out here, I'm going to go off script for just a second, that this is a pretty important step in that company had no chance of generating any revenue whatsoever with zero technology. So putting together a deal like this really jump-started the company in terms of being able to generate revenue well ahead of the curve. Next, we acquired the assets of Set.fm, increasing our visibility and credibility in the business. As you know, Set.fm is our instant live technology that allows us to record concerts and deliver that to a mobile device immediately after shows. Set.fm had previously had approximately $3 million in investment before we acquired it, and we acquired it for about 10% of that. We immediately leveraged Set.fm to record and produce instant live content with platinum-selling artist Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20 in early 2018, achieving a 30% sales conversion rate at shows. This is a relationship that I'd been developing with Rob and his management for several years before I became CEO of VNUE. I brought on an all-star team, and I truly mean all-star team, through long-standing relationships and new introductions, including Lou Mann, who was former GM and EVP of Capitol Records, Jock Weaver, former president of Hard Rock Cafe International and also founder and former president of TBA Entertainment, and more recently brought in Jim King, former CTO of BMI. Articulated, evangelized, and identified the intersection of Set.fm and content generation with artist rights management, specifically identifying music played in venues and ensuring the correct artists are paid. As I've gone on and on about previously, that's not happening, and our technology is set to solve that problem. I negotiated and acquired the assets of Soundster to realize this intersection and to create our Blue Ocean strategy. Soundster previously has over $1.1 million invested into it, and the company acquired it for about 10% of that again. And this was truly a pivotal moment in the company. VNUE is also, even before I became involved, VNUE had a parallel path of managing and protecting, music rights, as well as developing this technology for recording and releasing content. And the longer that I've been involved in this space, the more important I've discovered that this protection of music rights and the ability for us to identify and correctly make sure that artists are compensated, artists, songwriters, and publishers are compensated, has become clear to me. I mean, it's a very big void, and that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about Soundster. I brought on radio veteran John Madison as a consultant to further validate the need for Soundster in the radio industry, because radio largely has the same problems as brick and mortar and physical establishments when it comes to music licensing. Excuse me. Investment so far, including prior investment by acquired companies, has been used to do all the hard work. R&D, roundup, acquisition of tech, cleanup of the public entity, talent acquisition, and much more, honestly. This was inherently the riskier investment, as these companies had been invested in very young stages, and we were fortunate enough to take control of the technology at a standpoint where a lot of the work had been done. So really, literally 95% of the work is done at this point in regard to Soundster. And really the rest is commercialization, execution, and continued build out of additional functionality, which we have on the product roadmap. The company has pending patents, and we'll be working to secure additional IP protection as we continue to execute. We signed Rob Thomas for his entire summer tour in 2019. We executed that tour and executed as far as Australia, and that was a very successful tour for us. Obviously, we signed Matchbox 20 for the 2020 tour, which is now 2021, partnered with Live Nation's Ticketmaster, and generated $100,000 in revenue pre-sales in just 3 weeks when tickets went on sale. And I can't tell you how important that partnership is, because it really proved out the fact that people are motivated to buy experiential content at the time they're purchasing their tickets. It's almost a no-brainer at that point. We signed multiple other artists and executed tours with Set FM and Disc Live, including Patti Smythe and Scandal, King's X, Paul Rogers of Bad Company, Fishbone, Vans Warped Tour, The Music of Cream, and others. And that's a lot of artists to sign in a very short amount of time, especially with technology that we literally just acquired and improved upon. We have deployed multiple Soundster units multiple Soundster units to the field for beta testing, resulting in success in the time period we projected to do so. Obviously, it's a young product. We still have more work to do, but I'm very, very satisfied with the way things have gone so far. We signed our first commercial agreement with Rockhouse Live International in the time frame we expected for the initial commercialization and rollout. And just to be clear, this is not going to be a fast rollout, at least until we get our funding round in. It will be a steady rollout and very strategic in nature, taking on early adopters that are willing to provide us with feedback. I have utilized my public platform as CEO of VNUE, as well as that of an artist, to continue to evangelize Soundster and what we're doing to change the industry. And I will continue to do so every day. A little bit of history here. From 2018 to 2019, before the pandemic hit, we increased revenues by 149%, and our losses decreased by 40%. If the pandemic had not hit, we estimated we would have realized well over $1.5 million in revenue in 2020, if not more. As it stands, due to the pandemic, our revenues will be relatively low for 2020, because the vast majority of the revenue we expected was from touring, obviously. The good news, however, is that 2020 should be strong both for touring and for Soundster. And, again, going back to touring, you have many artists who have not been on the road at all due to the pandemic, and who are looking for ways, as well as labels, who are looking for ways to recover some of the revenue they would have otherwise garnered from our products and touring. And we stand in a very good position to be able to offer additional revenue at no cost to them and no risk. So that's a very, very good position for us to be in. And all in all, to that effect, we're in a really great position as we move into 2021. We have weathered the storm much better than a lot of businesses who operate in our space. This is mostly due to the very gritty determination of my awesome team, who I'm extremely grateful to have on this journey. I can say that I've been fortunate enough to have some really great teams in my past startups and great market opportunities. But by far, this is the best team I've ever had and the biggest market opportunity yet. With the funding round we're raising and all the hard work that we've done to date, we are literally poised to help change an industry that has been in the dark ages for decades, and at the same time realize a significant amount of revenue as we continue to push forward. These folks in my team, they are truly a rock star team, and I can't tell you enough how thankful I am to have them with me. They are with me because we all believe in this company and the technology and what we're trying to accomplish for the greater good. In closing, and I hate reading from a script, but I want to make sure I don't leave anything out. So this is actually going to be published to our OTC Market page as well. In closing, nothing is easy, especially when you're working to change something so monolithic as the music business. And for those who have been with me as a shareholder on this journey so far, or have maybe followed me as a musician and an artist, we're not there yet, but I can tell you we're very, very close to our linchpin moment. And by the way, that's where the real work starts. It's been a lot of work so far, but the real work starts when we get this thing rolled out and are successful in execution. That's where we really start to build real value for the company. For those of you who have recently joined us, welcome to the world of VNUE. This is a very exciting time for us and for me, and I'm very happy to have you on board. As I've often said, and I like to quote one of my biggest heroes and role models, the late great Steve Jobs, stay hungry and stay foolish. Because if you want to change the world, which I do, you need to push. You need to try new things, and you need to basically ignore the naysayers that say you can't do it. Because believe me, you can if you can put your mind to it. I've been in a position before where I've been told, like, well, why hasn't that been done before, or blah, blah, blah. And my answer is because, well, nobody thought of it, and furthermore, nobody executed it. And that's what we're doing with Soundster and with VNUE. But I digress. You have to sometimes make daring decisions, and you have to fully believe you can facilitate change. Because if you do put your mind to it, and you stay focused and driven, you absolutely can do this. So I just want to say thanks for being a big part of this adventure. Let's change the world together. And finally, I would like to wish every one of you a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays. And, again, thank you for sticking with me and sticking with us on this adventure. And the best is absolutely yet to come. And again, I apologize for having to read all that, but I wanted to make sure that you heard it directly from me. I am not one that shies away from the press or publicity or anything like that. And I will continue to try to give you meaningful updates as we continue to move forward, but we are going in the right direction. Again, thank you so much for hanging in there and being a part of what I think is going to be something amazingly awesome. Merry Christmas.